Welcome back to the self-accreditation. We're in module 2. This is the final video now, module 2, video 5, and we're going to be looking at the cultural statistical differences in the norm data within strengths profile. So I'm often asked, what are the key differences between men or women, or what is the most popular common strength? What's the biggest weakness that we have? So we're going to be revealing some of that data here today. It's just a snapshot of data, I guess. So, there will be more of this data that comes out as we progress and as we do this more regularly. But for now, we've looked at the US, we've looked at Australia, and we've looked at UK and some of the differences across the countries there. So we will add more countries in and do more analysis as we go forward. So let me just sort of set up what we did. There are over 30,000 strengths profiles that we looked at, and we were looking for sort of the highest and highest families within each of the countries and particularly around gender as well. So if you're interested more, keep up to date with us on this, and we'll be able to share more. But let's get started on what we did find out for you. So let's look at those top 3 quadrant frequencies across UK, Australia, America, and across all of the data as well, across those over 30,000 strengths profiles. So within the realised strengths, pride was the top, and this is the most common realised strength worldwide and within the separate countries that we looked at as well, that you can see. So I guess this was a bit of a surprise in that we often coach and see it as realised strengths, but maybe that shine, that number one was a small surprise to us. But I guess it makes sense. People want to produce good quality work. People take pride in what they do. But it's something that, I guess now knowing this data and being able to share this data with others, can help. Actually, there are a lot of people with pride that can support you, or perhaps you've got pride, you support a lot of the people that do have pride, and how can you work together to make things even better? So sometimes knowing this data can just help you guide people and have those better and deeper, richer conversations about how I'm unique or how I can collaborate more with others in my space. So we also saw that humility was number 2 as well. I guess, again, in coaching, these are both being strengths, remember, being the way that we are and the way that we operate, our intrinsic values. So both of those being from the being family. So humility number 2, putting others first and recognizing the success of others. And we see that being successful in great leaders, of course, and being able to share and enable others. But and then also there was a slight differences across the 3 countries. We saw moral compass worldwide, people wanting to do the right thing and doing the right thing, enjoying doing the right thing. And there was resolver for the UK, and for America it was improver. But all of those, resolver, improver, moral compass, were in the top 7 for everybody. They're just a slight different order that it came out for realised strengths. If we looked at the unrealised strengths, I saw, there was less surprises here for me, actually, because I'm often coaching people around mission and time optimizer, and you'll know that mission's my number 1. So helping others to think about, actually, I can see how that your purpose is, you're not aligning to it every day, but helping people to do that every day, helping them get meaning out of the small things in life as something that you can help others do, if this is something that you see in your coachees as being unrealised. And again, legacy may be making sense. This is about making a lasting impact. How can people do this on a daily basis? How can people feel that they are utilising this? And that's something that you can support with, but may make sense around why these are the more common unrealised strengths as well. Equally around time optimizer as well. We want to make use of our time. We do make use of our time, but those that are good in it can always make use more of their time. So I think, again, you can see, a slight difference around ordering around worldwide, but it's, it was something that, across the regions that we looked at, that there's just really no difference here. Learned behaviour, work ethic, that was definitely no surprise. So it's the top learned behaviour that we've looked at time and time again. We work hard. We want to work hard. We're good at working hard. Are we as energised to work, really hard all the time? It's what we do. It's what we're good at, rather than perhaps something that we get in energy from our 18-hour days. So I think this often is in the right place when people have this as a learned behaviour, because they do it well. So catch them, watch them. What does it look like? Is it sustainable? But often there are no alarm bells when you see this as a learned behaviour. Indeed, for people that are good at it, but have recognised that actually they have a home life too. So, some slight variances, but generally, again, all of these being in the top 4, 5, 6 for individuals across the country. So personalisation, you see empathic coming up, emotional awareness and detail. Detail something across all 4 and worldwide, which was you'll probably, if you've used the tool, have come across before in people's learned behaviour being common. We're good at it, but do we want to do it day in, day out? Possibly not. And then the weaknesses again, so competitive, courage, adherence, all sitting there just in a different order. And I very much resonated with coaching people around these, helping people become, not become more courageous, understanding their courage, what the impact is, and for the competitive as well, what's the impact, how can you get there using your other strengths, and adherence, many people, having to watch this in teams is quite important as well, because when you get a whole team where you've got 15 out of 20 people that, are weak in adherence, you may need to watch it, but generally, people have clocked this and have worked around it. So, take this data, recognise it in people. I don't think it's as helpful to say, do you know what? You're not unique. You share pride like everyone else does. But it is worth recognise. It's helpful for people to recognise this is something that, a lot of other people share with me. I can collaborate with others. We can come together and make things even more meaningful around those top 3. So let's look at realised strengths then, and we looked at that across the countries and across gender. So you'll see again pride coming out really strong for both genders and across the countries as well. I mean, we've tried to colour code this to give you kind of what to pay attention to on here. So you see some of the Navy attributes coming out here. Across the realised strengths, relationship deepener came out slightly more stronger for British women. So the Navy showing the differences between men and women. So women generally, being a bit stronger on that. It changed order slightly in its top 7 between women across the different countries, but it's there for all 3. And again, you see esteem builder come up for British women and Australian women. But you'll get a sense that there are similarities, but there are some slight differences. So, British women were more organised, Australian men more creative than American men or British men. And overall, what you see when you look at the worldwide is that, there aren't actually that many differences. They're just changing ordering across the top 7 as well. American women, it was interesting to see, had drive slightly higher up their realised strengths than Australian women and British women. So again, that picture as we go on to all of the quadrants is the same. There are some differences, but there aren't that many differences across the genders and across the countries that we looked at. So let's look at learned behaviours. This is going to be a bit of a quicker one because there are only a couple of differences across the gender and the country. So you'll see that work ethic, clearly a winner there, and again, really clock that one. It's something that, often people beat themselves up at. Oh, my work ethic is low. I'm low on this, I'm not very good at work ethic, even if it's a learned behaviour. But actually recognising, do you know what? You join most of the population by having work ethic as a learned behaviour. Sometimes can really settle people in those coaching conversations. Again, detail, recognising these are things that are really common across populations. So when you see someone strong in detail, really make that person feel quite unique and special. Certainly keep them within the organisation to help others who are less energised by detail as well. So this is a chance to make people feel that collaborative but really unique here when they have these strengths as realised. So really it's just a case of sort of ordering around here. So British men being more drained by unconditionality, American men being more drained by adherence. Adherence being pops up in the weakness category, which we'll go on to shortly. But you can see here that, a lot of similarity across the cultures here are what drains us. So moving on to weaknesses then. So same weaknesses, just kind of different ordering really around the men. So time optimizer, courage and adherence all being featured here. Whereas the women, it was competitive, courage and adherence. So the competitive piece came up for women that was different here. So, women tending not to want to be competitive or certainly enjoying it and not feeling that they wanted to do it. So, that's kind of like a key difference here. But I think, again, that is for me one that we often see, but you can often overcome as well. So, again, that lens of what would it look like if you were competitive and how can you get there using another strength is something that really works when coaching around competitive when somebody has it as a weakness. So adventure popping up as well, and courage as well. So, you know, a theme around, well, what does that look like? What does it stop you doing? What does it hold you back from doing? And what can help you get there? What would it look like if that were your strengths? What all have you got in your toolkit to support you? So, you know, key differences here, just so we move off of weaknesses then, is that time optimizer is more of a common weakness for men, whereas we had competitive for women. So unrealised strengths, finally then, you know, again, we brushed on this in the top 3, but time optimizer, mission, legacy, all being very common in those top 3 across sectors, or across countries and genders. So some slight differences you'll see highlighted, the colour coding, we've now got 4 colours, but working across Navy, the differences in men and women, so persuasion came out more in men in terms of unrealised. And for the other blue there, the differences across gender and country, it was the organiser and strategic awareness for Australian men that came out, that didn't show up in the top 7 for the others. But generally speaking, these unrealised strengths, you know, do share a lot of statistics that are the same. You know, we are sharing the similar things that we're not tapping into. So, you know, again, recognise that when we're coaching, what does it look like that legacy and mission are something that we're not tapping into, and how can you help people, you know, own that and see it for themselves and help others to see that. We know from our stats that we've done at CAP that mission is the most wanted strength that people wanted to see in their managers. So people really wanting to get that sense of purpose, belief, meaning out of their role, and asking that to be delivered through their managers. So when you see mission being unrealised, you know, what does that look like? Why is it unrealised? What could help that become more realised? What is it you need to buy into? What do your key stakeholders need to help you do to buy into that, so you can help others buy into it as well? As I say, this is a bit of a snapshot around stats. We're often asked about this. We thought we'd share with you some sort of key data around this. There will be more to come, so watch this space as they start to bring in other countries and other differences across sectors as well. We hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you shortly. Don't forget your homework, which is around the what's the difference, and doing some coaching on yourselves around the strengths families as well. So we'll see you soon in module 3. Until then, take care.